जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरवरधारी जय गिरवरधारी जय यशोदानंदना जय ब्रज जन रंजना जय ब्रज जन रंजना जय यशोदा जय यशोदानंदना जय ब्रज जन रंजना जय ब्रज जन रंजना जय जय जमुना तीरावनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय जमुना तीरावनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Jai Radha Giridhari Shri Radhe Jai, Jai Jagannath Jai Baladeva Jai Subhadra Jai, Jai Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jai Giri Govardhan Jai Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jai Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada Jai Jai Prabhupada, Jai Jai Gurudev Gurudev Jai Jai Gurudev Jai Jai Gurudev Gurudev Jai Jai, Shri Radha Giridhari Bhagwan ki Jai, Shri Gaur Nitai Bhagwan ki Jai, Divine Grace Shil Prabhupada ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Jnana Timaran Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurunmiltam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprishtam Apitam Yena Bhutale Sway Rupa Kadamahayam Dadati Swapandam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sehagana Raghunatham Tam Tam Sadhuaitam Savadutam Paritatam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sehagana Lalita Shri Vishakha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Radha Kanta Namaste Kanchan Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Mancha Kalpataru Vesha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jnananjan. Hare Krishna. Welcome to everyone this morning. Right, so chapter 14. So we are looking at Canto 4, Chapter 14, Text 21, and the story of King Veena. So please repeat after me. Yeah. Tam Sarvalokamar Yajna Sangraham Traimayam Dravyamayam Tapomayam Yajnair Vichitrair Yajto Bhavayate Rajan Swadeshan Anurodham Arhase Tam Sarvalokamar Yajna Sangraham Tam Sarvalokamar Yajna Sangraham Traimayam Dravyamayam Tapomayam Yajnair Vichitrair Yajto Bhavayate Rajan Swadeshan Anurodham Arhasi Tam Sarvalokamar Yajna Sangraham Tam Sarvalokamar Yajna Sangraham Traimayam Dravyamayam Tapomayam Traimayam Dravyamayam Tapomayam Yajnair Vichitrair Yajto Bhavayate Yajnair Vichitrair Yajto Bhavayate Rajan Swadeshan Anurodham Arhasi Rajan Swadeshan Anurodham Arhasi तं सर्वलोकमर्यजना संग्रहम् त्रयीमयं द्रव्यं तपोमयम् नैर्विचित्रयजतो भवायते राजन् स्वदेशान् अनुरोधम् अर्हसि तं सर्वलोकमर्यजन संग्रहम् त्रयीमयं द्रव्यमयं तपोमयम् यजनैर्विचित्रैर्यजतो भवायते राजन् स्वदेशान् अनुरोधम् अर्हसि तं सर्वलोकमर्यजन संग्रहम् त्रयीमयं द्रव्यमयं तपोमयम् यजनैर्विचित्रैर्यजतो भवायते अनुरोधम् अर्हसि तं सर्वलोकमर्यग्नसंग्रहम् त्रयीमयं द्रव्यमयं तपोमयम् यजनैर्विचित्रैर्यजतो भवायते राजन् स्वदेशाम् अनुरोधम् अर्हसि तं सर्वलोकमर्यजन संग्रहम् द्रव्यमयं तपोमयम् यजनैर्विचित्रैर्यजतो भवायते राजन् स्वदेशान् अनुरोधम् अर्हसि Thank you. Please repeat. Tam, him, Sarvaloka, in all planets. Amar, with the predominating deities. Yajna, sacrifices. Sangraham, who accepts. Traimayam, the sum total of the three Vedas. Dravyamayam, the owner of all paraphernalia. Tapahmayam, the goal of austerity. Yajna, by sacrifices. Vichitrahe, various. Yajataha, worshipping. Bhavaya, for elevation. Te, your. Rajan, O king. Swadeshan, your countrymen. Anurodham, to direct. Arhasi, you ought. Translation and peppered by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation, dear king, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with the predominating deities, is the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices in all planets. The Supreme Lord is the sum total of the three Vedas, the owner of everything, and the ultimate goal of all austerity. Therefore, your countrymen should engage in performing various sacrifices for your elevation. Indeed, you should always direct them towards the offering of sacrifices. So please repeat after me. Dear King, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with the predominating deities, is the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices in all planets. The Supreme Lord is the sum total of the three Vedas, the owner of everything, and the ultimate goal of all austerity. Therefore, your countrymen should engage in performing various sacrifices for your elevation. Indeed, you should always direct them towards the offering of sacrifices. There's no purport to this verse. We'll go on to the next verse. I'll just recite. Yajnena yashmat vishaye dvijatibhir vitayamanena sura kalhare Krista satushtaha pradishanti vanchitam tadadehalanam narahasi vira chastitam. Translation. When all the Brahmanas engage in performing sacrifices in your kingdom, all the demigods who are plenary expansions of the Lord will be very much satisfied by their activities and will give you your desired results. Therefore, O hero, do not stop the sacrificial performances. If you stop them, you will disrespect the demigods. So here you can see the saintly sages are advising King Vina. So they are asking him to ask his citizens, the Brahmanas, to perform sacrifices. And what did Vina reply? Text 23, we'll read it and then we'll discuss this. Vina uvacha, don't worry about repeating. Oh. Balishavat yuyamba adharme dharma manina ye vritidam patim hitva jaram patim upasate. So translation of this is the reply, response, or whatever. A reaction of King Vina. King Vina replied, "You are not at all experienced. It is very much regrettable that you are maintaining something which is not religious and are accepting it as religious. Indeed, I think you are giving up your real husband who maintains you and are searching after some karma to worship." So there's a purpose for this text 23, and I'll go through that. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. King Vina was so foolish that he accused the saintly sages of being inexperienced like small children. In other words, he was accusing them of not having perfect knowledge. In this way, he could reject their advice and make accusations against them, comparing them to a woman who does not care for her husband, but who maintains her, but goes to satisfy a parama who does not maintain her. The purpose of this simile is apparent. It is the duty of the Kshatriyas to engage the Brahmanas in different types of religious activities. And the king is supposed to be the maintainer of the Brahmanas. If the Brahmanas do not worship the king, but instead go to the demigods, they are as polluted as unchaste women. Amagyanatimarandasya Gyananjan Shlakaya Chakshurunmiltam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Yes. Okay, so in the first verse, that is 21, I'll discuss few points. And in this verse, I'll focus on austerity, tapasya. And in this verse, the sages are advising King Vina to do the right thing. But you can see in verse 23, King Vina replied to the sages that you are very inexperienced and you don't know what is dharma and adharma, to the saintly kings. So we'll come to that later. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna is the enjoyer of all, of the results of all sacrifices. Krishna is the enjoyer. And in all the planets, whoever performs any sacrifices in all the planets, the upper planetary system, the middle and the lower, anywhere who performs sacrifices, it all, the results go to Krishna. And he is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. And point two, Krishna is the sum total of the three Vedas. Because he revealed, he is the knower of the Vedas, isn't it? Krishna gave Vedas to whom? To Lord Brahma. And then it was passed down until it's today. So he is the knower of the Vedas. That verse, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sanavishto Mataha Smriti Jnanam Apohanam Cha Vedaista Sarvair Aham Eva Vedyo Vedanta Krid Veda Vid Eva Chaham. Krishna says in 15:15. Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sanavishto. I am in everyone's heart. And from all the Vedas, I am to be known. I am the compiler of the Vedas. So that's why he says here in this translation, Krishna is the sum total of all the three Vedas. And then the next point in this verse is Krishna is the ultimate goal of all austerity. Excuse me. We are performing austerity, all the devotees. But why are we performing austerity? Firstly, to purify our existence, to purify the self, our own body, mind, thoughts, our heart. We do austerity, tapasya. And also, while we do this tapasya, we elevate our consciousness. That means we are going to become Krishna consciousness, which is the goal, become Krishna consciousness. But all the austerities that we perform is ultimately, the ultimate goal is to finally have love for Krishna. That's the ultimate goal of all these austerities that we perform. So that's next point is the sages advise King Vina to direct and engage the Brahmanas in his kingdom to perform austerity and sacrifice. This is what the sages are telling King Vina to do. Instruct, they say, please instruct all the Brahmanas to perform sacrifices and austerities for the elevation of his devotional service. Who's King Venus? If the Brahmins do that, then the results, the king also gets the results of this austerity, and he elevates in his consciousness. That's what the these sages told King Vina to do. So today, I mean, in this verse, I'll focus on austerity. There are different kinds of austerities people perform. And it is described in chapter 17 of Bhagavad Gita. Different kinds of austerities. austerity for the body, austerity for the speech, austerity for the mind. And also there are different types of austerities. Austerity is performed in the mode of goodness, austerity is performed in the mode of passion, and austerity is performed in the mode of ignorance. There have been different kinds of austerities people have been performing. So let's look at some of that in Bhagavad Gita chapter 17 and verses 14. Let's have a look. And I'll just read the translation of the verse in the Sanskrit verse. Text 14, the title is The Divisions of Faith. In text 14, Krishna says, austerity of the body consists of worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and the superiors like father and mother. And in cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and non-violence. This is the austerity of the body. To use our body to worship the Supreme Lord, our spiritual masters, the Brahmanas, our parents too. And also be clean, be simple, be celibate, and practice non-violence. This is the austerity of the body. In text 15, it's talking about austerity of the speech. We talk so much, isn't it? So what kind of speech? What should we talk about? Austerity of speech consists of speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating others, and also in regularly reciting Vedic literatures, reading Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and so on. So actually, that's the austerity of the speech. So it doesn't allow us to just speak nonsense. So this is the austerity of the speech. And the austerity of mind, manaha, prasada, and so on. I'll read the translation. And satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind. First thing is satisfaction. We should be satisfied with what Krishna has given us, with honest hard work. And be simple, be grave, self-control should be there, and purification of one's existence. All these are austerities of the mind. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, to make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. And there's beautiful purports written by Srila Prabhupada. Now, I will read in Bhagavad Gita verse text 17, chapter 17, text 17 about austerity in goodness. This threefold austerity which I have just read about, for the body, for the mind, and for the speech, this threefold austerity performed with transcendental faith by men, not expecting material benefits, but engaged only for the sake of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is called austerity in goodness. When we perform austerity not for material benefit, but for spiritual development, for their lordships, for Krishna, Radha and Krishna, this is in the mode of goodness. Now, mode of passion. When we perform penance, performed out of pride, we are very proud. And for the sake of gaining respect, honor, and worship, is said to be in the mode of passion. Some people perform austerities to get, respect, honor, pride, and so on. And this kind of austerity is in the mode of passion. It is neither stable nor permanent. This kind of austerity is not going to last. You will fall into mode of the other mode of ignorance. And the third one is mode of ignorance. Penances or austerities performed out of foolishness with self-torture to destroy or injure others, it is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So this is another kind of austerity people perform. So in the little purport I'll read, there are instances of foolish penances or austerities undertaken by demons like Hiranyakashipu, who perform austere penances to become immortal. That was his purpose. He wanted to become immortal and he wanted to become like Krishna. And he asked others that they should worship him, Hiranyakashipu, and kill the demigods. That was his purpose of his austerity, isn't it? To injure others, to harm, and also get honor and to become Ishwar, controller. So he prayed to Lord Brahma for such things, and he was given. Lord Brahma gave him the boon, whatever he wanted. But ultimately, Hiranyakashipu performed so much violence and he terrorized his own son and the Brahmanas and the sadhus. So ultimately, Krishna had to come to kill him. So this is one example of performing austerity in the mode of ignorance. And there are people still doing it. They do this black magic or whatever. They do tapasya, a lot of austerity, and get some powers. And they want to harm others, not to help others, but to harm others. So this is in the mode of ignorance. And pride too, like those people who do, they want to do yoga and want to show off that they can do certain things. So, derive things from the air, want honor and respect from the public. This is mode of passion. There are people doing that, like the magicians, and there are some others too. But austerity in mode of goodness is not for self material benefit, but for spiritual benefit. That means devotional service. This mode of and in Krishna consciousness, we also do austerities. Can you tell me some examples of austerities that we do? Fasting, waking up early morning. Yes, good. Oh, well, yeah, that's part of devotional service. don't take it as austerity. Now we should be, happy to chant. So yeah, and also Ekadasi, for some devotees, Ekadasi is very difficult. When they hear, oh, Ekadasi is coming, oh my God, they say, oh Krishna. For some people, it's difficult because their body can't take it. And now, in the beginning, well, we didn't. When I was not in Krishna consciousness, I didn't know about Ekadasi at all. Although I was a Hindu, but I didn't know about Ekadasi. And we're not fasting from grains. No, nobody taught me. I didn't have a guru. But we were in in our own group, Ramayan Mandali, but no one knew about Ekadasi, and we never did Ekadasi, right, Prabhuji? You know it. So when I came to Krishna consciousness, then I knew what Ekadasi is and the importance, and then fasting. And in the beginning, we used to do Nirajal. We were young, every Ekadasi. But now you can't. I can't do that.
Later on, we went to milk, taking fruits, drink milk, but again could not sustain energy, so then started eating. So now Ekadasi is feasting. You have so many varieties of preparations during Ekadashi. Anyway, so that's one of the austerities we are doing, and also these four regulative principles. We never knew about that when I was there. When I came to Krishna consciousness, then this was described, and now we were asked to follow. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit connection. Well, when we were there, meat eating was a normal thing. We never knew it's a sinful activity. And also like intoxication, drink kava and all that. It was normal thing. People didn't know. We were not told. Everyone was doing it, so we were doing it. Our parents didn't know. They didn't tell us. Anyway, so this is another austerity, following food regulative principles. Now it should be normal part of our life. It has become. So I've talked, shared something about austerity, different types of austerities people have been performing. Now we'll move on to the next verse, which is text 22. I'll focus on yagna, sacrifice. So the sages advised the king to direct the Brahmanas, to instruct the Brahmanas and the people to perform yagna, to perform sacrifices, to satisfy the demigods. Because just like, in old days, people still do it. To satisfy Indra, the people of Vrindavan were doing, Indra puja just to get rain. And I remember we were doing in Fiji too, Indra puja once a year. Everyone get together and go and perform Indra puja. I was very young at that time. And I stopped it later on. Nobody was doing Indra puja. Okay, so, and like sun is a devata, he gives us heat and light. Without that, we cannot survive. Without any of this, like rain, water, sun, and the vayu, dev, oxygen. So the sages asked King Vina to advise all his brahmanas and the citizens to perform sacrifices. Ultimately, the results is taken by the Lord himself. Although it is performed for Indra, but ultimately it goes to Krishna, because they are all part and parcel of Krishna. These devatas are given special portfolios to do their job. And also, the sages told King Vina, please don't stop sacrifices. And this will disrespect the demigods, and then there will be lots of problems. This is what they advised King Vina. Why? Because he was stopping sacrifices. King Vina was another Ravana in his time. He did so many cruel things. We'll discuss that in the last verse, today's last verse. So, types of sacrifices. Can you give me some examples of or names of sacrifices that we used to perform or you have read in the scriptures? I'll give you some examples before. Ashwamedh Yagna, Ashwamedh Yagna. Who performed that Yagna? Even Lord Ramchandra performed Ashwamedh Yagna, horse sacrifice, not killing the horse actually, sending the horse with his soldiers throughout the world. If any king would like to fight, they can do so. But if they would like to be under Lord Ramchandra's reign, they will accept it and give them some gifts. Ashwamedh Yagna. Lord Ramchandra performed that. Another kind of sacrifice, Rajsuya Yagna. Who performed that? Yudhishthira Maharaj. Oh, okay. And in that sacrifice, they chose Krishna as the main or the chief guest, VIP. The purpose I don't really know, or to secure the kingdom. And then there are so many in the Vedas, there are so many yagnas prescribed. For example, Pitra Yagna for our forefathers, our ancestors, perform sacrifices for them. Deva Yagna for the demigods, like Indra Puja and so on. And there's another one called Bhuta Yagna. Not Bhut doesn't mean the ghost. Bhut means the living entities like birds. Perform sacrifices for them, feed them with grains. Many people do that. And then, of course, the Vivaha Yagna, the marriage ceremony, there's a yagna, isn't it? And at the end, Antesti Yagna, when we expire, they use the word expire. When we expire, then we have Antesti Yagna for the soul, and so on. So there are so many different kinds. And then Dashrath Maharaj performed one yagna when he did not have children. That's called Putresti Yagna. And it was performed by a special rishi. Can't remember his name. To beget children. Those couple who don't have children, then they perform Putresti Yagna. Dashrath Maharaj, King Dashrath, performed that yagna, and he got 4 children: Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughan. So there are so many different kinds of sacrifices, yagnas. But what is the yagna for this age, Kali Yuga? Harinam Sankirtan Yagna. And it covers all the yagnas. The king is the sum total of all yagnas. So in Kali Yuga, we don't have to perform all various yagnas. Even Krishna stopped the Vrajavasis to perform Deva Yagna. He said, no more. That's their responsibility. They will do their work. You do Sankirtan Yagna. Do it for Krishna. Perform Yagna for Govardhan. Govardhan is Krishna himself. So when you water the root of the tree, then everyone is satisfied. That's the main point. I don't remember that verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. Water the root of the tree, the twigs, the branches, the flowers, the fruits, all are energized, they get the nutrition and they are happy. Similarly, everyone will be happy, the devas, the humans, if we all perform Sankirtan Yagna. And there are so many verses about performing Sankirtan Yagna. So these are about, I focus on sacrifice. And the last part is text 23. It is the reaction of King Veena. Okay, the reaction of King Veena. When the sages advised King Veena to not to stop sacrifices, but advised the Brahmanas and his citizens to perform sacrifices, this is how King Veena reacted. And what did he say? You are not at all experienced, talking to the sages. It is very much regrettable that you are maintaining something which is not religious and are accepting it as religious. Indeed, I think you are giving up your real husband who maintains you and are searching after some parama to worship. So Did King Bina listen to the sages? Followed their advice? No, he totally rejected it. He rejected everything they said. And he said, you guys are inexperienced. You don't know what is dharma and adharma. And now who is talking? King Bina. And who is King Bina? One of the atheistic, one of the demoniac personality, like Hiranyakashipu, like Ravana. And he's advising the sages. So King Bina totally rejected everything, and he suggested that they were not experienced, and he gave a simile. Simile is, Mataji, what is a simile? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So he used a simile like, you are, I think you are giving up your real husband who maintains you. That he meant himself. He was the king. He was maintaining the brahmanas and the sages. And you are searching after some parama to worship. That means you are looking for the demigods, to worship the demigods instead of worshiping me. I'm the king. You are trying to do that. So that's the simile he used in this. So King Vina is actually atheistic. He doesn't believe in Krishna or God or even demigods. He wants to be himself, the supreme controller. And his purpose is to destroy religious principles, to destroy sadhus and brahmanas, and create fear in the citizens so that they worship him and respect him. That's the work of the demonic kings. And Prabhupada has mentioned that we'll have in Kali Yuga so many demoniac kings like this, rulers or the government officials. For example, China, and almost every country, but China is it's a communist country. Although everything looks quite good outside, China doesn't reveal what's the problems it has in its own country, isn't it? Everything is covered. But they are killing their own people. There's lots of abortions going. It's all over the world, but in China, it's heaps because they want only, in the beginning, they ruled for one child. If the parents conceive, the mother conceived, they had to abort the child. No way they can have the child because it goes through the hospital system and the government department. So they killed millions of babies like that. And then in China, they do the harvest of the organs. You know that? Have you heard of it? Organs inside the body, they harvest and they sell it. And they kill their own people. They're missing. There are so many Chinese, millions of Chinese missing. It's a big country. And that's done by the government. And they sell these organs overseas and get money. So see, this is demoniac government. And then people are tired. Now you must hear in the news, you have heard that they are protesting against the premier, the chief of the Chinese Communist country. But they cannot do much because they have the supreme power at the moment and they can do anything they want. Anyway, so this is an example of demoniac nature of the kings and the rulers of the earth. And one day what will happen, people will leave the cities and they run to the forest. It is prophesied in the Srimad Bhagavatam. They will leave the country. So finally, I would like to say that the most important yagna is Harinam Sankirtan for Kali Yuga. And do you remember, I'll just give you the final. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, last canto, After a whole of Srimad Bhagavatam, what is the last verse? It's talking about this. You're gonna, yeah, it says, Nam Sankirtan Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukshamanas Tam Namami Harim Param. This is the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. And it says, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Hari. The congregation, what did I do? The congregational chanting of whose holy names destroys all sinful reactions, and the offering of obeisances unto whom relieves all material suffering. So even the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is focusing on chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Nam Sankirtan Yasya Sarva Papa Parnashanam destroys all sinful reactions. And when you offer obeisances to the Lord, it relieves us of all material suffering. So this is the most important. That means our japa, we should always try to improve our chanting, always. And once that is, we are doing it very nicely with love, devotion, care, and attention without any offenses, then you will see the progress you make in your spiritual life. You'll experience it yourself. So chanting our japa is so important, doing it nicely. And the best time is in the Brahma Muhurta time. So gradually we should make it that we should finish our 16 rounds before we go to work. That should be our target. Okay, so I'll stop here. And I think I have taken the whole time. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Shri Dev.